congratulations on this show. You've been doing so much as of late. How do you feel being on MasterChef Latino?
I feel extremely blessed. I feel super excited. I mean, it's been such an incredible ride to go from contestant to now being on the side of a judge.
Um, what do you think having been a contestant on MasterChef brings to you being a judge?
I think, I definitely, don't have like a wool over my eyes. I like know exactly what they've been through. Nobody can kind of tell me. I know what it feels like to be under pressure. I know what it feels like when something goes wrong. So I think that unlike any other judge on any of the MasterChef brand, I think that I can actually understand where they're coming from. So I have a little bit more insight. But on the flip side, that also means that I'm not going to be go easy on them because I know that you could have done better.
Uh, Having had the experience, what are you looking for from a contestant in order to, critique them?
What I'm looking for from a contestant is for them to make sure that they are growing and learning. So much of being in this kitchen and is taking the criticism from the judges and then actually implementing that into their cooking, and not just the critiques that they get for them for their own dishes, but across the board from every one of the contestants. So that's probably the biggest thing.
What do you feel the show, will help Hispanic families in order to, cook better or, you know, reach for their dreams in order to do what you do?
Yeah. I think that what this show will do more than anything is one of my favorite things about this show is that it really shows the true diversity of Latinos. One, that's a biggie for me. The fact that Latino doesn't just automatically mean Mexican. It means the Caribbean. It means, South America. It means all of that. I think that um, it's really, I think it'll be really cool to see how different but yet how similar a lot of our food is. And so in that essence it'll really be very unifying. So for us to realize, like, holy smokes, like even people in Latin America cook stuff that looks just like mine, they just call it something different. So I think that'll be really interesting. And I don't know, I think a lot of people will actually see that food that is very traditional to them can be elevated and can be something prettier on the table.
I follow you on social media, and you're very active on Snapchat and Instagram. And it's really like it's surprising to me to see everything you go through, and it's not just like all the pretty moments; it's everything. How important is it for you to document all that and let your fans know exactly what you're going through?
Yeah, I think that that's one of the funniest things because a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, like I can't believe you ugly cried on Facebook live." And it's true. I mean, but I think that one of the biggest things that connected me to the people that follow me on all of these social channels is my authentic self. And I really believe in that. I believe in being your authentic self, embracing that, because there's nobody out there like me, right? But on the flip side, there is a lot of people like me that go through the same things like me, and I want to almost make them like see that, right? Like, I'm a mom. My kid sucks sometimes. Like last night my face broke out in a hive because like I had an allergic reaction to something. And I share all of these things because I want people to know, like, hey, things like this happen to even me, even though I'm going to be on camera the next day and I'm going to have like all these lights on me. And I panic and I freak out. But this is important because, it's part of just sharing my authentic self.
I've started cooking a lot more as of late, just because my brother has lupus and we have to prepare food more.
Mhm.
And I enjoy the fact that I know what's going into the food. How important is it to know what you're putting in and how much quantity?
It is so valuable. And not so much about quantity, but really about the quality of the food that you're putting in. Just recently, I've been reading things about food from a certain country coming through with like shrimp that's been stuffed with some gel, and it's disgusting. And I can't tell you how important it is to know and to ask where your food comes from. A lot of times whenever I go, sometimes even into like my local Big's brand stores, I'll say like, "Hey, where did this meat come from? When did it arrive? When did you butcher it? Blah blah blah." And you would be surprised that your butchers, even at the larger big brand stores, will actually know where they come from, when they came in, when they were butchered, and everything. So it's so important. And especially with like our produce, it's very very important because sometimes they come through with chemicals that you probably don't want to have in your system.
What is one piece of advice you would offer to any amateur chef?
One piece of advice to any amateur chef, I would say keep practicing. One, I honestly, like, I think that's the biggest, most important one, because if you don't keep practicing, I mean, the first tortilla I ever made was the shape of Africa. You know, if I had stopped there, we'd have a lot of different states and countries. But I think, it's so important, that you continue to grow, and that you don't stop because you mess up, right? That you're like, no, 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 I know I can make this better, because as you practice, you realize what you could have done better, and then you continue to grow. I always say that you haven't actually learned how to make something until you've made it 1001 times.